China Dinosaurs Park has to be one of the more interesting parks that I've been to from a couple of perspectives. The theming of the park is quite striking. On the one hand, you have all this beautiful rock work. I mean, we're talking Disney level in terms of the detail, and there's quite a bit of it. It's not just in one section or one street. It's not throughout the park, but it's probably about a good third to half of the park is this gorgeous rock work, and lots of lush landscaping as well, and trees, very tropical, very exotic overall between the two, between the landscaping and the rock work. Another way that this park is interesting is the rides. So, we'll get to the coasters in a bit, but as far as the other than coaster rides, your flat rides, you've got, I forget what the name of it is, but one of these flying bench style rides where it inverts and flips over. That's, basically built into almost like this cave that's carved into the rock work. There's a number of effectively dark rides and dark attractions. There's a special effects cinema like Mystery Lodge at Osprey Farm, which is kind of like a samurai theme, very interesting, pretty detailed, even has a pre-show involved with it, with some special effects. There's a Husk King Kong ride, which I've never been on before. Fits well into this park. Yes, a little bit high on the cheesiness scale. Compared to King Kong, whether it be the Confrontation, the older King Kong attraction, or the new King Kong Skull Island type attraction that's now Islands Adventure, and the animatronic King Kong that's involved with that. Definitely this Husk King Kong ride at China Dinosaurs Park is pretty high on the cheesy scale, but pretty fun and effective when it, kind of moves back and forth up in the air. It's a little bit on the thrilling side, I would say, and probably pretty high thrill for a lot of people. There's another attraction, which is a permanent dark maze. The setting of it's hard to describe, but it's almost like a creepy swamp in the beginning. This is on the order of, the Walking Dead attraction, Universal Studios Hollywood. Again, this is a permanent dark maze, has some pretty good horror elements too. It's very dark in there. In fact, at one point I banged my knee into one of the railings, which kind of hurt for a while, but again, it comes with the territory, hazards of the trade, if you will. But pretty cool, especially if you consider that China as a market does not embrace horror. They're not big on horror like other parts of Asia and, of course, the rest of the world. And that's why you don't see, for example, Haunted Mansion at Shanghai Disneyland. The fact that they have this horror maze as a permanent attraction here at this park was pretty impressive. Now, as far as the coasters go, there's a total of 3. One of which I did not get to ride during my visit because it was closed. It's a indoor, sort of like a Wild Mouse style, but again, I didn't get to ride it. But speaking of Wild Mouse, I did go to the Dino Man section of the park, which is an area of the park which does not have the rock work theming. It's more of like almost like a cave flat ride section. But the Super Roller Coaster, as it's called, this Golden Horse Wild Mouse style coaster, was pretty interesting. It has an element in it towards the end which I was not expecting, which is a zero-G roll, Heartline roll, if you will. Never seen that on a Wild Mouse coaster before, so that was kind of cool. The other coaster and the headline attraction in this park, and the main reason why I went to it, is this park has the last and third built Aero S&S 4D coaster designed by Alan Schilke, the great Alan Schilke. This was the, again, most recently built of these 3 coasters. X was first, which became X2, then Ichinaika at Fuji-Q Highlands in Japan, and then Dino Conda. I've been now on all 3 of these. X2 is pretty much my favorite coaster of all time. And so I, have made it a mission to get on all 3 of these coasters. So, Dinoconda might be the newest of the 3, but it's also the roughest. I was very disappointed, even though it's just a few years old, that it is a pretty rough coaster. Yes, it is faster than X2, a little taller, etc. But the fact of how rough it is, X2 is still at the top of my list for me. Maybe Ichinaika, maybe he's up there too. This basically has the same layout as the X2 and Egenica. They didn't get too creative with these layouts. These are very complex coasters with the second set of rails and the rotating element. But this has all your trademark, for example, the, going up the lift hill backwards, and then it flips you over for the first time to face straight down, going down that basically vertical drop. Very effective, very scary. One thing I was disappointed about in this ride as well, besides the roughness, is the operations of this park were just awful. This Dinoconda was only running one train, and they would only dispatch about once every 15 minutes or so. They almost treated the ride like it's like a sky coaster, or really like you're at a skydiving simulator. Once you're in the line, you wait for quite a while, and they grab one group of people at a time that would fit on one train. They escort you in there. They kind of, go over and make sure you clear out your pockets and all your belongings and put everything aside. And they kind of go through the restraints with you and guide you through it. And the restraints are quite extensive. It's not just the standard hard vest. You've got a seatbelt on this ride too, believe it or not. So very interesting experience, to say the least.
Thank you for watching our episode. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit our next video, which is right here. Just go ahead and click on it. Don't be shy. Go ahead. It's right there waiting for you to watch.